Hey, what's up everyone? Today I want to talk about the top 7 mistakes that people make on social media coming up. Alright, so what are the mistakes that people are frequently making and they might not even be aware of them? And you might be doing some of these things yourself, and how can you remedy that or use a different approach? Point number 1, the mistake that I see all the time is people relying on automation. Let me get one thing straight. Automation used to work 3, 2, or maybe like a year and a half ago, but over time, these social platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you name it, they have become smarter and smarter, and they are able to detect human behavior versus something that is generated from a bot. So don't think you're fooling the system by having a bot commenting 40 times in an hour, because these kind of behaviors, those algorithms, those platforms can track it out. And even if they don't track it out, the users of the platforms will usually flag your comments as being spam or inappropriate to their posts. And so all in all, automation is just ROI negative. It's no bueno. All right, so point number 2, another mistake that I see all the time is people are not being social. You need to understand that these social platforms reward social behavior. If you spend that extra 30 minutes or 45 minutes a day leaving meaningful feedback and replying to comments, I guarantee you will grow your following and you will grow some sort of loyalty, because people will see that you're contributing to the community. I think people just try to find shortcuts by, again, point number 1 was relying on automation, but it can be other things. You know, people just don't want to put in the work and be social on these platforms. So my tip for you guys is to be social. Do spend that 30 or 45 or an hour extra a day to really learn about how to connect with other people and how to leave meaningful feedback so that they can do the same on your content. Point number 3, and this one is a little bit more Instagram centric, is abusing hashtags. I see this all the time where people want to use 30 hashtags in one post just to get the most exposure, the biggest sort of reach that they can get. And it does really nothing to your brand, really. It doesn't do anything to your reach, because there's so much going on Instagram. And if you're a small account, I would rely on other types of techniques to grow your account. What I mean by this is, and I can do a separate video on this, but you know, using engagement groups, posting at the hours where you're most likely to get engagement, get some people to maybe buy some shouts. And you can even do shout for shout if you know what that means. It's basically you shouting at their page for them to do the same for you. And usually it has to be pages that have equal followers and equal engagement, or you know, you just have to figure it out with the other page. But these kinds of techniques are way better than using hashtags to try to gain exposure and to grow your account. Because right now the problem is that Instagram is very crowded, there's a lot of noise, and you just can't use hashtags the way you used to use them before, because everything is so crowded right now. Even if you use the top popular hashtags, usually what will happen is that you'll be in that classification, but since so many people are using these hashtags, it's basically irrelevant, your post, especially if you're starting out with your account. It's better to focus on other methods to grow your page. And I'll probably do a separate video on this one. All right, so point number 4 is forgetting to look at the data. Look at what is actually working on these platforms, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Instagram or LinkedIn. Look at the top accounts, see what they're doing, and see which one of their posts are the most engaging ones. And from that point, you can sort of get inspired from it. And then once you get a feel for what really works on your account by monitoring the data, seeing how much reach you're getting, how much engagement you're getting, then you can sort of branch out and mold your style around that. I see so many people doing the same things over and over again, and they wonder why it's not working. If you see something is not working, people are not engaging with it, scrap it and move to something else. It's just about being receptive and looking at all of the things going on and seeing what's working and what's not. And what's not working, then just ditch that thing and focus on what's really working. So point number 5, another mistake that I see a lot of people make and businesses make is focusing on the wrong metrics. It doesn't matter how many followers you have or how many likes you get. What matters is the quality of those followers. What kind of engagement are you getting? Is it quality engagement? And by what I mean by this is, let's say you're in a business context. If you have 1,000 followers, but 200 of those followers are really loyal customers of yours and they're interacting with your content, and you are on a constant basis, you're able to sell to those 200 out of 1,000 followers. Well, that's way better than having 1,000,000 followers, but only having one person buy your product. So it's all about focusing on the right metrics. Are you looking at number of followers and number of likes, or are you actually looking at how you're converting those followers into more sales, into more reach, into more awareness? It depends on what you're really looking for, but you have to focus on the right metrics. All right, so point number 6 is taking your audience for granted. Don't ever get fancy and think that you're on top of everything because you have, let's say, 100,000 followers, because the truth is every one of those followers are giving you their time and they should be respected as such. You should never get to a point where you take anything for granted, because these kinds of followers are following you for the value that you provide. And once you get complacent and you don't deliver value anymore, you're going to lose a lot of that engagement. So make sure that you never take anything for granted and you're constantly delivering on the value that you are providing. All right, point number 7, last but not least, do not get stuck in the right hook business. Gary Vaynerchuk has a great book on this called Jab, 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 Right Hook, where he talks about a jab, which is basically a content that you put out and it is a content that is giving value, versus a right hook, which is you asking for something in return. And the reason why so many people are stuck in the right hook business and why it's a mistake is because people will follow you for the value that you're exchanging for them. If you're always asking things from your followers, they are going to unfollow you and they might not even follow you at all. So be aware of that balance. How much are you giving versus how much are you asking for in return? Bring your audience as much value as possible, and then from time to time sprinkle in that little right hook, and it is much more likely to convert. And the reason for this is because people need to trust and build some sort of loyalty to your brand before you ask something out of them. So make sure you keep a healthy balance between what you're giving and what you're asking for in return. So that was it for the 7 tips. If you enjoyed the video, or if you're listening to this in podcast form, leave a comment, like it, share it, pass it on. And as always, until next time.